Hi, this is James Gordon here with my second graphic novel review. Today's graphic novel I'll be talking about today, The Crow by James O'Barr. Alright. This was first published in 1989 in Caliber Comics. This edition is from Stink Kitchen Press, and this is reprinted in 1995. This was a reread. I read this graphic novel years ago, and while I thought it was good. However, I agree with my father that the film is definitely a lot better than the graphic novel. However, after reading this again, there are some things I like with the graphic novel that the film doesn't have, but the film made some improvements to the story, which I'll explain later on in my review. But I felt that the one thing that the film kind of lacked that the graphic novel had was the violence. This thing is really dark. Like it's very violent and gory, and there's a lot of like violent moments that you don't really see in a lot of action movies and stuff. But this was a decent read. The one thing I will definitely praise this graphic novel is the artwork is beautiful to look at while reading the story. There were moments where I was just reading the story and then I had to stop and just stare at the artwork as it's incredible. Like every image is highly detailed. Like it's like a work of art. It's beautiful. However, the one thing that I felt that James O'Barr was lacking was the story. I felt it could have been a lot better. I felt it was cut and dry. Like it was just like a little like too simple. Like the main character just easily tracks down the people he's after, and there's not really much else to to expand on the story. And I felt some of the characters could have been fleshed out as they're kind of there's like a little too simple and basic. Like I don't need like a whole backstory, just like some extra detail, just so that way we understand where these characters, where they came from, what made them what they are, and that sort of thing. But I'll explain that more in my review. But overall, this was still a good read, and the film is definitely worth checking out too. All right, onto the review. Plot: Eric and his fiancée Shelley are planning on getting married in the middle of renovating an old house out of Detroit as Eric works as a mechanic. While driving down an empty road during a very cold month in October, Eric's car breaks down as he pulls over to the side. While Eric is trying to fix his car, suddenly a Ford Thunderbird pulls over. Stepping out of the car is T-Bird, Funboy, Top Dollar, Tintin, and Tom Tom, all members of a dangerous gang. They assault Eric and Shelley, beating them up. Eric is shot in the head, leaving him paralyzed. Unable to move, Eric hears the screams and cries of Shelley being raped, then shot. The gang flees, leaving them for dead. Eric is resurrected by the Crow, who seeks to help him get revenge on those who murdered him and Shelley. Also to ensure Eric stays on track is Skull Cowboy, who keeps Eric from remembering his past. His skin pale white, wearing mostly all black or a long trench coat, face makeup, black lipstick, and his piercing blue eyes. Eric begins tracking down old members of T-Bird's gang. First, he finds Jones trying to steal a VHS player. Jones stabs Eric with his knife, but it does nothing as Eric pulls out the knife and asks if he would like to try again, which Jones said he'll pass. Eric reveals he snipped off Giant's fingers till he told him where to find Jones, as Eric wants to find T-Bird's gang. Jones breaks down and tells him where to find Tintin. The next day, Tintin, with a friend and another criminal, offers to sell Tintin a .38 revolver. Tintin takes the revolver and tries it out by shooting a woman walking across the street. Both his friend and the criminal freak out as Tintin kills both of them for the fun of it. As it starts raining, Eric corners Tintin in an alleyway. He shoots at Eric, hitting him in the head. Eric shoots back with a hidden gun in his trench coat. Wounding Tintin, Eric questions him till he gets the answers, then blows out Tintin's brains against the brick wall. Eric then tracks down Top Dollar in a rundown apartment. Sitting on the top floor outside, Eric kills a gang member looking out the window, thinking he heard something, then enters, killing everyone else but leaving Top Dollar alive. He tries bribing Eric, but he isn't interested in money or drugs. He wants to find T-Bird and the other gang members. After Top Dollar tells him where to find them, Eric shoots him in the eye. Eric then tracks down Tom Tom in the basement as he and a friend are torturing a guy before killing him with their switchblades. Eric appears with a sword and slices off Tom Tom's friend's head, then whacks the light bulb cord, leaving Tom Tom in total darkness. Taunting him, then slices off his feet. Eric turns on the light and talks with Tom Tom, asking what he did with his fiancé's engagement ring. Tom Tom tells him he sold it to a pawn store owner, Guidon. Eric leaves as Tom Tom dies. Guidon, in the middle of counting money, hears someone knocking on the door. He tells them to leave when suddenly the door crashes open. Eric enters as Guidon points his gun at him. Eric disarms him, then stabs a knife into Guidon's hand, wanting to know where the engagement ring is. Guidon gives him a box full of jewelry. Eric searches for the ring. Guidon pulls the knife out, then reaches for another gun, but Eric reminds he forgot about his Walter and caps off a few rounds, killing Guidon. Eric takes his ring along with weapons and ammo. He makes a bomb, then blows up the pawn shop. In between Eric's quest for revenge, he begins helping out a young girl, Sherry, getting through her tough life and cleaning up her mother while dealing with her abusive boyfriend, Funboy. But Eric is struggling with the loss of his fiancée as he spends time in the old house reflecting on memories which both the Crow and Skull Cowboy try to keep Eric on track of his mission. These painful memories cause Eric to cut himself and even shoot himself up with drugs while dealing with his depression. When the last gang member, T-Bird, learns Eric is after him, he gets all the men he can get for a final showdown with Eric. Once Eric has completed his mission, he can finally return with the woman he loves so much, Shelly, and rest in peace. The Crow is a beautiful yet dark tale of love, sadness, loneliness, and revenge. James O'Barr's artwork is amazing. Highly detailed illustrations throughout the pages, as I had moments where I couldn't help but stop reading and stare at the beautiful artwork in front of me. From the gritty urban landscapes, run-down houses, apartments, to the rare moments of places untouched by violence. There were moments of action, lots of violence, along with some really cool kill scenes, and even dark humor in the mix. However, some of the death scenes I felt were lame with T-Bird and Funboy. While the main character of Eric was interesting, from a nice guy to the eventual spirit of the Crow, the villains were all scumbags, but felt a little backstory on these characters would have fleshed out these characters better, along with Eric and some others. While some parts of the story I liked, however, there were moments I didn't like, such as the scenes of Eric and his depression could drag on the story, and having to watch him cut himself or taking drugs I felt was unnecessary. One thing I felt should have been in the beginning was Eric getting weapons at the pawn shop, since at the start of the comic he's already armed with guns and a sword, which is never explained where he got them from. I also wish there was more to the story, as it felt cut and dry of him easily finding the people he's after, as I wish it had more of a challenge trying to search for these scumbags. And as for the two side characters that hardly aid Eric, the Crow and Skull Cowboy, I wish James had these two doing more than just popping up at random during the story, other than telling Eric to go out and kill evil people. As for the 94 film of the same name, while it improves the story of the graphic novel, however, it's not violent as the graphic novel was, which I really enjoyed the violence in it. The Crow at least is useful of finding the people Eric's after, but I also like in the graphic novel that only Eric can see it and nobody else. Still, it's worth a watch. Overall, I highly recommend The Crow, as it's a beautiful yet dark graphic novel that everyone should read, and see the film too. They're both worth checking out. And that's reviewed, so I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, this was fun reading The Crow again. Like I said, the artwork is beautiful. It really, really helps the story stand out a lot. But as I said, I felt the story, could have been a lot better. It just, to me, it felt cut and dry. It's like I said, I feel like Eric it's like too easy. It's just like a breeze for him to easily find these people and track them down. I wish it was kind of like more of a challenge. Like, I wish there was a part where he has to, go to the police station and like find records of these criminals and figure out where they are and stuff, and then having to like take out like a bunch of other guys that are controlling like different districts of Detroit, and like helping people out. That would have been more interesting too. And I wish the two other side characters had more of a purpose than just popping up frequently in the story, because they're hardly in the story at all. Like both the Crow and Skull Cowboy, they're hardly there, and they don't really do much other than telling Eric to like stop wasting time, remembering about the past, and get on with the mission. That's all they do. Let's see what else. And I also felt like the characters could have been fleshed out a little better, like both Eric and the villains too. Like there's no backstory. They're just like these generic villains, and I felt this, like, they just a little bit, like a little backstory on these characters would have helped them flesh them out more. That's all. I don't need like a full backstory on them, but there was also some really like dark humor in this story. Like there was one part where Eric slices off Tom Tom's like feet, and when Eric turns the light back on, he's like, "Hey, those are my boots. I need those." And Eric's like, "Oh, you won't be needing them anymore." And I thought that was funny. And then there's a part where Eric like kills like T-Bird's like criminal friend. He blows his head off while he's in the car, and T-Bird is like out of his mind. He thinks his friend is still alive. He's like telling his dead friend to like buckle up, and then when they're later on he's driving his car. He's like telling his friend to stop getting blood over the dashboard of his car, and I thought that part was really funny. Um, like there's some really good like kill scenes in this story, in this graphic novel, like the sword part I mentioned, and there's a lot of shootouts in the comic too, but there was some parts I felt were not really that good. Like there's a part where Eric tracks down Fun Boy, and he like basically tells him to get all his guys together and meet up in some bar where he's gonna challenge them to like a showdown, and Eric just kills them all, and then after that he basically tells uh the Eric tells the Fun Boy to like, okay, go find T-Bird and we'll meet up at this place and we'll do it again. I'm like, what? You're just gonna let the guy walk away? Like the old saying goes, you can just shoot him. He's right. He's like right there, Eric. You can just shoot him. Why do you need him alive still? Oh, and this is also another funny part in the comic. During the bar shootout, Fun Boy is telling the guys that he thinks Eric is wearing like a bulletproof vest to shoot him in the head, and no one can like shoot him in the head. And there's like they're not even that far apart. It's like, can anyone shoot him in the goddamn head? I was laughing because I see that so many times in movies now. It's like when people have guns and they're trying to shoot each other, they never go for headshots. They always hit like the chest or some other body, some part of the body, and it doesn't break them down because they got body armor. Of course, it's like, is it that hard to hit the head? Is it really that hard to shoot someone in the head? Um, but I felt that Fun Boy's death and T-Bird was kind of like the lame deaths. Like I felt they're I'm not gonna spoil like their deaths are, but they're just like, I thought, come on, you could have come up with some more like a creative way to kill them off than just in these lame kind of ways. However, though, the film does fix that though. But overall, this is still like it's still a good graphic novel to read. Like just for the artwork alone, like that's what I think really makes The Crow special. It's the artwork. It's very beautiful to look at. I felt if like if Jan Zobar basically there's a whole backstory on why he did the Crone stuff, and I understand it's a very personal reason why he did it. But I felt that if he worked on this and then then read it over and then rewrote the story while like added some new images to the story, update the story a little bit, he could have like improved some things on it. But that's the thing with graphic novels. It's not like something you can easily go back and rewrite stuff. But still, it's still worth a read. As for the film, the film is really good. It does improve the story. It does make a lot of changes to the graphic novel. Some of these changes I like. Some of the changes I don't like. Like the Crow is more useful in the film than it is the graphic novel, but people can see it, and it's Eric's weakness, because if someone shoots it, then Eric gets wounded and stuff, which I thought I kind of liked it in the graphic novel, where it's like it's this supernatural entity that only Eric can see and no one else can see that. The film is violent, but the graphic novel is a lot more violent. Like it's way more gorier than the film is. But still, the film is worth watching. And I heard that there's a remake that's coming out, and a lot of people have been on the fence about it because Janzo Barr is looking forward to it because he says this new one is going to stick more true to graphic novel. Well, people feel that the Brandon Lee film is the best version of it. So when that film comes out, I'll check out to see if it's any good or not. But yeah, that's going to be kind of hard to top a very like a masterpiece film to try to top that. When many people will say that that '94 film with the Crow is like the best film, and to try to top that it's impossible. But when the remake comes out, I'll see what I think of it. And I like to try to find some other work by James O'Barr. Like he has done some other things, because I asked because my father loves The Crow. This is one of his favorite graphic novels, and I asked him, what else has James O'Barr done? And he's like, and he responds he only knows The Crow. He doesn't really know anything else. So I looked up to see what James O'Barr has done. He's done some other like comics and stuff. He's done some other things. He did a short. He did like an illustration of a short story he wrote, and then I was looking on eBay. And apparently, he did this like illustration series for like this horror comic or something, and some other things. But I'm just curious to see what other things this James O'Barr has done, and apparently he's done some other like Crow sequels where other characters take the role of the Crow. So I don't know if those are good or not. I'll have to look into that. All right, that's it for the review today. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will begin with my October Terror. I have already got a horror novel and a collection anthology. I'll be reading both things at the same time, so that way I can get through many horror books as I can for the month of October. And I'm definitely going to read a lot more books than last year, so that's my goal, is to read a lot of horror for October Terror. Alright, if you like this video, please like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group of the same name, a place to post your review of fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later.